Hello, my name is John Deedy, professor of political science at the Community Colleges, Baltimore County. This is a continuation of a series of interviewing a lot of prominent people in the community and asking a variety of questions. Today, I am interviewing Kim Stansbury, who is running as a Republican for Baltimore County Executive. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
My first question is, why are you running for county executive?
Well, it's sort of a long story, but it's a very happy story and sad at the same time. I got my degree in political science. I've always wanted to run for office. Actually, my 91-year-old father, when I told him I was running, said, "What took you so long?" So, back when we were all shut down during COVID, my husband came to me and he said, "Babe, do you still want to run for office?" And I said, "Honey, I haven't thought about that since I graduated from college, which was a really long time ago." And he said, "Yeah, but do you still want to run?" And I said, like I said, I haven't thought about it." And he says, "Well, you know that I don't have much time left. If you want to run for office, now is the time to do it." So I signed up and I ran in 2022. It was a good campaign. I came in second on the Republican side, right under Pat McDonough. Um, and my husband passed away 7 weeks after the primary.
Sorry to
But
hear that.
he made me promise that I would try it again. And I live up to that promise. So when this election, it's looming near, I try to live up to all of my promises. So I went up into the attic and I saw that he had sorted all of the signs that we had taken down. He'd wiped them off, reorganized them, had them sitting there with a little note that said, "For your next run." So I have to run. This is something that I've lived my life for. My husband said, "Look, you got your degree, we got married, and then all of a sudden it was kids, life. You took care of your mother, my father, our kids, and now you're taking care of me. Now it's time for you to do something for yourself. If this is what you want and this is your dream, then we're going to go for it." And that's what we did.
Okay. My next question is, what do you consider the big issues you're going to focus on in your campaign that you think are important that Baltimore County residents need to really hear about?
The first one is crime. I'm sorry. It is time to do something about crime. We need to hold people who commit crime in Baltimore County accountable for their actions. There is no room in Baltimore County to have the crime rates that we're having right now. I know they say that they're down, but my test is what I see, what I feel, and what I experience. And let me tell you, it has failed all of those tests. I want people to say crime has consequences in Baltimore County. And that's what I aim to do, is make sure that crime has consequences. Not only should our police force be well funded, our EMS, they should be, ready to go. 911, we should not be put on hold when we call 911. It goes further than that. The judiciary, they need to hold criminals accountable and hand out sentences that are appropriate, not just slap on a wrist and let them go for them to be out a couple of hours later committing the same crimes. So we need to get that under control.
What would be your goals if you are elected Baltimore County executive?
Make this county safe for everyone. Make sure that we have the infrastructure we need, that we can raise our families. Look, residents have lost faith. Our families are struggling right now. They're struggling to afford to live in Baltimore County. Crime is out of control. Schools are failing. Infrastructure is aging and failing. And too many residents have lost faith in the government of Baltimore County. I want to restore that faith in government. They should look at it like we're here to help them, because let's face it, they're the ones that pay the salary.
Makes a lot of logical sense. My next question is, There's been a lot of controversy this year regarding the Office of Inspector General. If you were elected Baltimore County Executive, would you want Kelly Madigan to stay in that position?
Oh, absolutely. Kelly has done a remarkable job as IG. I would be honored to work with her because I think she's taken from just a small sliver of responsibility and she has widened that. I would actually like to see her office take over the school system because I think we can find a lot of fraud, abuse, and waste in the school system as well. It's over 50% of our budget. So we need to make sure that it is running efficiently.
One of the biggest issues that faces people in Baltimore County at times, and this is something Jim Brochin talked about years ago, is zoning. Drives people crazy. How would you attack the problem of zoning in Baltimore County? What would you like to see done?
I would like to see, better, I don't know, straightforward language in zoning and not so many exceptions. It seems like certain um, people or contractors or developers get a pass by in zoning. Zoning should be set and it should be for everyone. No more free rides, no more, oh, I like you, so we're going to do, you know, we're going to kind of scoot by this. No, the rules are there for a reason and they should be followed.
One of the other big issues that's been talked about a lot nationally, and one of the problems people have talked about is housing. How would you deal with the housing problem? The fact that it seems like people need places to live. And at the same time, housing costs are really exploding. What would you do to deal with the housing problems in Baltimore County?
Let's, just take it one at a time. Housing, I'm not against housing. I'm against irresponsible housing. Putting housing in places that there's no water, sewer, you know, the infrastructure, they're not going to change that. The roads, that all has to be taken into consideration when we're planning to put housing in places in Baltimore County. What they're doing in White Marsh, they're doing a redevelopment of White Marsh Mall, and it will have all of that. Let's do something like that. Columbia has this great, multi-use facility. If we have that and we can meet all the demands, okay, I can be, for that. But to put 122 housing units right at Joppa Road and Loch Raven without changing the water, the sewer, or changing the roadways, that's a little irresponsible for me. We can do better and we have to do better in Baltimore County.
One of the big economic engines in Baltimore County is CCBC. What would you do and what would be your relationship with CCBC? Would you like to see continued the College Promise program? How would you integrate CCBC into your administration? What role is there for there, and how would you like to fund it?
I love CCBC. Funding for CCBC is right on the top of the list, right with, school systems. I think altogether between schools and colleges and universities, we're right at what, 57 to 59% of our budget. I would like to see CCBC do a lot more trade centered education because let's face it, our young people, they need good jobs. They plumbing, electrical, um, CDL drivers, welding, all of these things would help our young people get better jobs, high paying jobs where they could live in this county, they could raise their families in this county and make a good living. But we need to make sure that they are educated, that they can come out and actually hold those jobs. Let's face it, not everyone is ready to go to college, but everyone needs a job. Let's make sure that it's available to all of our young people.
One of the biggest problems facing Baltimore County budgeting is the blueprint. The idea of spending money on public education, K through 12, variety of things, pre-K, etc. It's becoming an economic time bomb. How, if you're elected Baltimore County executive, how would you deal with the blueprint, the mandated spending, and all those issues? What would you like to see changed, and how would you deal with some of this?
I would like to see the mandated spending changed. Like I said, I would really like the IG to go in to tell us if there is fraud, abuse, mismanagement, whatever it is. Let's get control of that. We are spending more per student. I think last time I looked at it, over 26,000 per child in Baltimore County. Yet our private schools who have better outcomes are only spending, the tuition is what, 24 to 25,000 a year. Let's do more to make sure that our kids are learning and not just wasting money in a school system that is broken. We need to do better. We can do better. There's no reason that our children should only be 40% in math, 50% in reading and language arts. That's crazy. We have to do better, and it all comes down to we have to work together. It's not just the teachers, it's not just the administration, it's parents too. We have to let parents be parents, and we need to make sure that our schools are teaching the basics. Let's get back to basics. Let's use some common sense, and let's go back to a time where children are ready to learn. So that's what I think about that.
Okay. Last question I'll ask is, if you were to become Baltimore County executive, what past Baltimore County executives or any county executives that you could think of in Maryland would you want to kind of see as your role model? The type of person that, yeah, they did something really good, or they did something that I liked as far as how they administered the county. Where would your role models be?
Let's face it, we haven't had a Republican Baltimore County executive since Roger Hayden, and that was a really long time ago. So far, we've been compromised with backroom deals, handshakes, good old boy network. I'd like to break that apart. Let's get some fresh blood, some new ideas. Let's go forward and not backwards. Let's be transparent. Let's have accountability. It's a new day. People are not going to stand for that. And I don't blame them. People work hard for their money, and they should know how we're spending it in Baltimore County. Right now, I'm forging a new path. I'm not looking at what was before. I just want a path forward.
Okay, thank you very much, and I wish you well on the campaign trail.
Thank you.